music?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say I am a fan of rock music. It's probably, apart from indie, the biggest genre that I listen to.
I am a fan of rock music, yes.
It's, I would say, about a quarter to a third of what I listen to.
I'd say typically every day.
I think rock artists are usually represented as the rebellious type, trying to go against society, against the trend.
I think a lot of rock and roll artists have got now sort of more of a clean-cut image. So if you compare it right back with sort of bands like Led Zeppelin, perhaps back in the 70s, rock musicians were a lot more. Well, they were crazy, really. They were doing all sorts of things.
It's black or white. Okay.
Just say like a simple colour. Say, just ask a normal question.
What simple colours do you think are associated with rock music?
Quite deep reds, dark blacks.
Ooh, typically red, black, maybe some white. Every couple of days, maybe every 3 days or so.
Rarely on a general basis, but if there is an artist that interests me, I'll often search to see if they have music videos out.
I think I prefer a combination of both. A good example would be Jimmy Eat World, The Middle.
I think it's nice to have both. I think you need to have the band in it to get that band identity, to see how the songs are actually played. It's quite nice to see the lead singer actually singing the song, but it's also nice to have a plot, a narrative that has some relevance to the lyrics.
I think it should actually represent the individual track more than the genre. So if it's a rock track that's more ballady, it shouldn't try and act like extremely gritty people doing ballads. It should act like the nature of the track.
I think it doesn't have to represent the genre. It can be really anything people want it to be, but sometimes it's nice to represent the genre if the lyrics themselves do.
I don't really have a preference. There's plenty of low-budget videos that I think really work very, very well. For instance, Foo Fighters, White Limo. It's a good example.
I think a high-budget video is always better.
A music video that actually adds an emotional depth to the track. Steve Milton's Drive Home would be a good example.
I think if it's well scripted, well lit, I think a lot of old music videos I watch, the lighting isn't very good. Filmed in high quality also makes a big difference. They actually look like they're more of a film than just a amateur video.
These days, not very often at all. Perhaps maybe once every couple of months.
Not that uncommonly, I'd say a fair few times a year.
I would probably say no, because if I'm going out to buy a CD, I already have in my mind what I'm going to buy. I wouldn't judge the music by the cover, but it's always nice to have a good cover, something that represents the band. So you can, if you're picking it off a shelf, a home shelf at home, once you bought it, then it's always nice to recognise what that band is.
What would I like to see? I'd like to see more about how they made the music that's on the album. You tend to get lyrics, you tend to get lots of photos, sometimes not necessarily related. They probably would have some sort of tedious link, but yeah, more about how the music was actually made, I think.
I think it should generally be an attempt at an artist to expand on the genre rather than just sit in it and do what they always do.
Yeah, I think that's actually quite important, because know, you want it to be recognisable. So I think the genre should be recognisable on the CD case. I would say I don't usually visit band websites unless I'm looking for maybe gigs, maybe tour dates. So maybe twice every year, I'd say.
Biographies about the artist, I think would be quite useful. Perhaps a little bit of information about the most recent album they produced, you know, where they did it, perhaps why they did it as well. It'd be useful to have a section about upcoming gigs. It'd be useful to perhaps have a link to a store section if they've got their own store, or link to products or places rather where you can buy their products that relate to the band.
I would say it is, because it really shows you kind of the popularity of that band. If it's a well-made website and you know that it's quite a big band, and then it can reflect on what you think of their music.
Social media for the page or band, yes, I think it should, because it's very nice to be able to actually follow whatever. I'm not on Twitter, but Facebook and such, it's very nice to be able to follow without having to search for the page.
I think in this day and age that's really important, especially if they're bands trying to target a younger audience. So yeah, I think all social media sites. So.
Yes, although I've yet to experience what perk. Well, yet to experience a good perk. Really, it's you tend to sign up to the newsletter and you might hear about tickets in advance, but I'd like there to be sort of like more, maybe sort of discounted.
I also think that's very important to have the website reflecting that genre, because obviously if you've gone to that site, you want to have the genre music recognisable from the start.
As I said, it should represent the artist within the genre. So if the artist is quite typical